Let's take you to England, where the heat wave, which saw temperatures reaching 40 degrees Celsius, is easing today. The scorching heat led to several fires. For more on this, let's go to eNCA's London correspondent, Olly Barratt, to tell us a bit more. Olly, I wonder how you're coping with the heat wave. What's happening in London?
It's much better in London today than it was over the last 2 days. Temperatures around 10 plus degrees lower than they were on Tuesday and on Monday. So it is much more pleasant for London commuters and residents and businesses, and particularly people who are working outside, or indeed people who've been working in places over the last couple of days without air conditioning. One of the difficulties, though, that we may have later today in and around London is that although the temperatures are now much lower and much easier to deal with for individuals and businesses and organisations, we are expecting some very heavy rain in the London region in the next 12 hours or so, and authorities are saying that that could well cause some difficulties when that heavy rain and those storms begin. And so although we have some respite from the heat, it's not necessarily respite from the weather overall as we head later into the week.
Let's talk about, the developments in Britain, basically in terms of Boris Johnson having resigned, etc. Are there any debates as to who will then officially take over when he officially steps down from that position?
Well, we'll be one step closer to knowing who will be the next UK Prime Minister later today, because what we're into now is the final round of voting from Conservative MPs for who they want to be their next leader and therefore the next Prime Minister of the UK. We have 3 candidates left in the race, but after today's voting there will be just 2 left. Those 3 candidates are Rishi Sunak, the former Finance Minister, one of those who resigned to force Boris Johnson out of his job, the current Foreign Secretary Liz Truss, and the current Trade Minister Penny Mordaunt. It is considered most likely that Rishi Sunak will go through into that final 2, and that therefore he will be up against either Liz Truss or Penny Mordaunt. So we'll know that by the end of the day. We'll know which the final pairing is, and then that final pairing is put towards the wider Conservative Party membership, around 150,000 people, we think, and they will vote in a postal ballot in the coming weeks, and that result will be announced on September the 5th, and whoever wins will become the next Prime Minister on September the 6th, with Boris Johnson to stay in post effectively as a caretaker between now and then.
And Olly, are there any debates among citizens, for example, in terms of the possibility of having a female Prime Minister in Britain at all, or are they happy with the fact that the former Finance Minister might take over?
Well, the UK's had 2 female Prime Ministers before, Margaret Thatcher and Theresa May, so this would be, if Liz Truss or Penny Mordaunt wins, this would be the 3rd, and the Conservative Party here is very proud of that record. They often point to the opposition Labour Party and say, we may well have had 3 female Prime Ministers before you've had any, but what we certainly know is that the next UK Prime Minister will be either a woman or indeed will be someone from an ethnic minority. There has been an ethnic minority UK Prime Minister before, but we haven't seen a British Asian being UK Prime Minister before. So if Rishi Sunak becomes the PM, then that will be a first as well. And as I say, the Conservatives, for both those reasons, do point to their own record on diversity and say that they have something to be proud of there. The opposition Labour Party says all of the candidates would be problematic for the UK, and the opposition Labour Party continues to insist that Boris Johnson should leave Downing Street earlier than he is intending to, and the Labour Party say there should be a general election. Very little prospect of that anytime soon. The Conservatives certainly are focused on picking their new leader and then letting whoever that is take the reins at Downing Street and try and bed down with some really difficult issues they're going to have to take over, from climate change to the cost of living crisis and others.
All right. I did see actually at some point firefighters in London saying that the past few days have been the busiest possibly since World War II. But thank you very much for speaking to us there. That was eNCA's London correspondent Olly Barratt giving us an update on some of the issues in that particular country.